Blessings and welcome forward to Reasonings, right here at the Tree of Life. I'm your host, Jerome Sage Butler. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you here at the sacred stone cave, right in my backyard. Blessings and honor to Yahuwah, Yehoshua, Divine Elohim, who has brought forward such wonderful environments that we can share, partake, and very much connect with the natural portions of the manifest presence of His divine nature. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing the new connections in sharing this information. I would say it's an evolution. I want to give thanks to Brother Rahman and the entire Celia media and just the growth into Tree of Life Television Network. That was a vision years before we came to Celia Media. So we give thanks, and the Lord has been faithful, been kind, been most blessed, and we have reaped a very natural and spiritual reward as a result of our faithfulness. My current offerings would be on dealing with disappointment. Now, I have been through quite a trying year, and I would say a last maybe 6 months of that year has been wrought with a lot of tribulations. Now, we might look at the word tribulation and then suggest that because of our tribulations, we have come closer to divine Yahuwah. But I would say it is because we have gotten closer to divine Yahuwah while we have had tribulations. Because the more we endeavor to go towards truth, towards love, the very indignant forces of this realms and the dark places and the dark actions and thoughts they keep, they seek to pull us back into the tumult, into confusion. So as we make an attempt to pull away from the circumstances and the situations that cause us pain and draw ever closer to divine Yah, we find that we run into tribulation, disappointment. Now, the configuration of each family and personal living environment is so diverse. However, the experience of disappointments, it's universal. We all can relate in the deepest context to how it is that we have lost several times investments we have made in the deepest confidence that we will have success on the highest level, and it turned out to be failure on a grand scale. Now, there are many who are informed and enlightened along this path in its many implications, who will say the path to success is based upon failure. The road to ultimate fulfillment is based upon disappointments. There is a point in our human constructions and considerations where we come to analyze our existence, where we come to examine its vicissitudes, its diversity, its myriad tangents, and at the core of a lot of our human explorations is a sense of disappointment in the exploration, in the findings, in the end results. There is a lack of satisfaction because mainly how we thought we would feel as a result of this revelation, we did not feel. We felt something else. We thought that making all the sacrifice would have brought us a grand reward where our minds, our bodies, yea, our spirits would have felt vindicated, yea, liberated to see and for others now to acknowledge our efforts, all our investments should have come, we expect it to come to a grand, good result. And when it does not, a lot of individuals feel crushed, broken, even on the edge of suicide, losing that deep connection with something far beyond moral construct, losing deep connection with source of life, source of existence, losing connection with Yah and self. Disappointments placate the roads to fulfillment. You find that in order to make it to your paradise, you have to go through the mind-polluted avenues and environments of this externalized world, this externalized worldview and world living experience. And if it is that you are measuring something that is based in the spirit, based upon something that's in the external material world, then I think naturally it is going to lead to disappointment. So let us put our arguments in complete perspective, and then let's go forward. Let's examine our disappointments. If your disappointments are born purely in the lack of a congruence in your material end result with your efforts, then I suggest you examine first cause. What is the nature of your devotion to such an idea to put so much of your efforts and your time into seeing it to success? If it is truly worth the months, hours, hundreds of hours, yet hundreds of thousands of seconds and minutes, then I would suggest that a sense of determination, stick-to-itiveness, a sense of perseverance and preservation of the true root of your drives, of your ambitions towards fulfillment. If it is that you've been working on a project for many, many years, and through the process of your experiences, you are expecting that there would have been some form of material reward by now, and you're examining your financial statements and recognizing that what you have invested, what others have invested in you, have not come true in terms of a material equalization or even a profit born upon all this sweat, and some say tears. I won't say blood, because the only blood I know is the blood of Yeshua. So I won't go to no blood rites and rituals. Sweat and tears. Examine again the root cause of your experiences. If it is worthwhile, then each disappointment is actually a lesson. It is a factual representation of your efforts. Some will simply say, and I can say, it is an end result of trial and error, ebb and flow. So if you slowly begin to understand the dynamic of how your thoughts are reacting with your experiences, how it is that you're putting your thoughts into function, and how you expect that function in the end result to manifest in a certain experience or a certain reciprocity of experience, then I say, then each rejection, each disappointment is a lesson to you, is truly an end result to you, to show you that that way in which you have approached your perspective, your prospectus, isn't congruent, isn't in line with first cause. You've gone away from core principle. You have gone away from your true and deepest motivations. And hence, you cannot see clearly, because it takes a lot of energy to transmute vibration from thought frequency into actualization, into thought forms, or into manifest forms. So as you use your mental faculties, your emotional faculties, and your spiritual energy to congregate and to correlate on this information, again examine your end results. See how it is that your thoughts are actualizing themselves as I say, the disappointments. So when you have shortfalls in your financial returns, when you have these material blockages, then it seems to me that maybe it is that you need to re-examine your concept, your core concepts, and how it is that you are connecting your core concept with your core market, are those who are able to invest and support your products and your services, your offerings. So examine, and be honest when you are getting your results and your feedback, to see exactly how it is that your actions aren't leading to the end results you desire. So then be wise and correct your actions. Now, one of the things I should say is that you should never rush to decision and be rash in decisions or in decision making, because you should over time examine the variables of your setbacks and your disappointments to understand and see correlations in patterns, and see correlation in patterns in concept, and how concepts are being applied to color schemes and to formulations of products and services, because there are many ways in which the initial inspiration is being divested away from core thought when it comes to the end product. And maybe sometimes, as I have examined in other portions and other videos, that sometimes the difference in a successful product or product logo or slogan is wording, color scheme, alignment, placement of the core images and the core concept manifest in a symbolism. Because a lot of people I know, they love to use pre-existing symbolism and the word structure and the advertising language that is prescribed and predestined as the way in which one should use that thought to express the ideas that one wants to manifest. So in simple and simplified form, people are using these formatted ways of expressing their creative ideas or their thought processes in an advertising or creative language that is predisposed to the thought processes of others. And it's actually fulfilling their ideas, and sometimes it's not really in alignment with what you truly want. So again, see how it is that your symbolism and your mission statements and your ideologies around your products and your services are actually aligned to your core thought and your core principle. And this is squarely based on talking in material pursuits, right? Examine again, if you are in the sense of having a office space or a functional workspace, examine the people or how the space is peopled, because you got to know the right alignment of energies and frequencies. So I know people say, well, Jerome, we base our office workforce based upon their qualifications. Well, if I am understanding correctly, and do pardon me, because sometimes I think people think because maybe we're in Jamaica, they think sometimes we are below in intellectual capacity. So bear with me. So a lot of people say, well, we hire based upon the resume and how we feel about, well, the individual. They got it good on paper, and we get a good feeling. Okay, I don't want to knock the good feeling, and I don't want to knock what's on the paper, but let me just be clear. Isn't it a fact that many people are educated in similar constructs? Isn't it also fair to say that our sense of what feels good and what feels true to us is based upon our experiences and based upon what we've trained ourselves to be accepting of? So then let's examine the good feeling. Most times the good feeling is based upon the person or the person's ideology or ways of expressing themselves are very much in alignment with how you feel someone should truly express themselves and maybe how you express yourself as well. So let's get past this essence of feeling. Let's go back to qualification. So if it is that many people are educated in the same institutions, are taught the same indices, matrices, and ways of thinking, then one can suggest that many people are qualified. Am I suggesting go off the grid of qualification? Absolutely not. Here's what I'm saying. Your mission statement, your business statement, should be based upon the actuality of your first cause, what you desire to be end result. So must be the peopling of your workforce. The elemental and spiritual vibratory nature. And maybe in the material sense you won't be able to understand vibratory, but you do have the sense of good feeling. What I'm trying to say is this. Assess the person based upon the true function they will fulfill, or that they are fulfilling by their very presence in your environment to your first cause, to your end result. If this is the person which you know by what you assess with a clear mind, beyond prejudice to just qualification and emotional well-being, or emotional senses, or emotional sensory, if you truly assess each individual based upon what is truly necessary, what will fulfill the highest ideals and ambitions of your company, of your workforce, then you will always make the correct decision in who peoples your workforce. You will always find the right staff to entrust the means by which, the process by which your ideas will become formulated and formalized as end products, and services. I hope that you have a way to translate my postulation to a highly sensitized, sensitive, and an MBA developmental space. If it is all about the bottom line, quantified to be a material premise, how to get to that in the most ethical and truly wholesome manner is the best application of energy. So I would suggest, as you think of new products, services, and innovations in your fields, I would suggest that equal to the idea of making something more functional and being more readily user-friendly, I would say look at the ethics of your thoughts relating to how your product or your innovation will reach your end user, and the kind of people you entrust with your accounting. Is that what it's called? Your books, right? Your financing, the financial executives are the people who are deliberately concerned or deliberately in charge of sourcing your investment and your financing, because that's where the unethical natures will manifest. Because many of who will invest, who might invest, might not share, will not share a lot of your ambitions, your ideals. So this is why it gets out of control when you thought your product would have been a great success. But when it's then channeled through such diverse instruments that have so much myriad viewpoints, energy sources, belief systems, that when it gets to the end user, the initial desire that you had as an end user yourself of a similar product and your innovation was to rectify the imbalances and the indifferences, when it gets to that end user, they don't feel what you felt when you decided to innovate, to create a different feeling in the end user. Check your team. Check how it is that you put together your working network. Not just based upon academics, not based upon brotherhood and fraternal based connections. Success is possible. I always make mention of nature. And people might say, what is Jerome talking about? Man says that through fertilization, he will create a greater yield. Look at the mutations in our genetic patterns, in our mental and emotional patterns, because of these changes in the nature and structure of how things grow naturally, or they ought to grow naturally. Natural order, ethical, moral principles are real principles in natural succession and fulfillment. It is the natural law of production in the plant. Naturally, from one seed, a plant produces multiple seeds, multiple yields without the need to be manipulated. So the West Point-based philosophy in the MBAs of the current age has made business and the way of fulfillment through that moniker or that way of expression seems very tumultuous and dangerous. So let us now examine disappointments and dealing with these disappointments on a spiritual plane. Now, if it is that you are endeavoring to bring about a spiritual service to your community or to your nation or to your region, you have attempted several times to present a certain kind of information or a certain way of life based upon an experience, and you find that rejection is facing you on many avenues, then I would say to you, number one, there's a teaching experience or a learning experience wherever you placate yourself along the intellectual path. There's a teaching experience in all of these rejections. there is a way in which one can truly, through the Spirit of Yahuwah, through the presence of diligence, examine each rejection to see how it is that this rejection is showing us something that is inherent in our spirituality and in our expression of the wording, the message, or the vision that Yah has placed upon our hearts. Number one, spiritual being, I would like you to understand that, and I have gone through this. As a person who watches, let's just put it what it is, who have been programmed, reprogrammed through the social networks, through mega media, mass media, television, and VHS, media, movies and pornography, and to the internet and the placation of multiple information. I've been saturated with a certain kind of programming, and that programming has done great harm in my belief systems, in my behaviors, and in my attitudes. One of the greatest mechanisms in which that information came to me and has afflicted me is through fears and great desires, what we call lust. So you must understand that most humans are triggered based upon deep emotions, but if your trigger or your appeal is to the wrong human emotions, you will stir up the wrong response, especially for people on a spiritual mission. So each time you say someone has rejected me, and has then tantamount to suggest that person has rejected Yah, I think that is a short-sightedness, and I think such a person should be very careful in how you're thinking, because you think the message of Yah is placated or is connected to your transmission of that message, and hence some delusions will occur in such an individual. But let's get beyond that. Because the ways in which an individual connects to information is based upon emotional triggers. Fear wreaked havoc in my consciousness. And let's be very honest. Growing up, fear-mongering through religious institutions and organizations placed an apocalyptical mindset in my consciousness and in a lot of people's consciousness. A lot of people were grown with religious and spiritual delusions that over time manifested to stagnate their spiritual growth and development. So when it is that you have a message and all it is that you're appealing to is fear in someone, all you're doing is triggering the fear mechanism in someone, what you're doing is scaring the living light and spirit out of someone by your pronunciations, by your placation of this deep emotional burden on your spirit. So I'm saying to you, your rejection is based upon the fact that your appeal isn't to the right human emotion. Now, I would say this. There are, and this is my personal feeling, so I know most don't have to agree, and that is okay. There are people who appeal to others about the suffering or the militarization or the violence that comes through militarization, and they show this, or they try to bring this point across while showing us mutilated, bloodied bodies. I am traumatized by such sightings. In fact, I've never physically mutilated someone to physically see that. I try not in my mental and emotional space to be in the presence of such an activity. And if it seems that I'm being naive, I want to strike that naivety. Violence and violent acts are everywhere within society. I am saying it is not my consciousness to be invited or to invite myself into such an activity or in the presence of such an activity. Though I mourn the loss of lives and the hurt that is caused by militarization and the vehement violence that is caused by a thought process that supports such activities, I do not want to see the mutilated bodies of others to bring your story across to me. I'm sorry, I will not agree. You'll have to come up with another means to get my support. I will forever speak peace into my fellow brethren in situations, no matter how much they placate themselves along word patterns that we say they're enemies to my cause. They're enemies to an ideology. Brothers and sisters of this faith, if I may say, brothers and sisters of truth, if that is a more satisfying, our brothers and sisters seeking after truth. All those rejections are placations based upon ideologies. So, if you hold your faith in ideological prominence and providence and superiority, your arrogance and your ignorance will translate in your language to others who are placated along such ideologies, and they will reject you. If it's love and truth that is your offering, if there is a true word of Yeshua, of Yahweh, that is boiling up in you, that desires presentation, come in true love, come in true peace and true understanding, true forgiveness, true clarity. You don't have to appeal to fear, jealousy, anger, or the sense of doom, or the sense of tribalization, or the capitulation of tribal mindsets. To say to someone, oh, you are this faith, or you're of that faith, or you have this belief, or you have that belief, hence you are my enemy. No. I know there are people who's gonna be cross with me for this, but you can be as cross as you want. You are not me. And I know there's some people who might suggest, is he suggesting a one religion? No, listen to me. You see, you ideologicals, be very careful. Don't assign me any belief systems or any placation of thought that I have not said, nor do I agree with. Listen carefully. There are people who believe the faith in Yeshua is ideological. It is some fundamental premise, and they will act from this fundamental premise without true love. So I'm saying, if your message ain't based in true love to me, your rejection by the multiplicity of beings is suggesting to me your argument isn't congruent with truth or love, and you're not in alignment with Yeshua. That's what I'm saying. Take it or leave it. So, truth and love, seeking for the highest unbounded truth and bounded love unconditionally, called by statements, right, is the way to go in when one is presenting information. I've been very careful. I ain't perfect. Ish, come on. But the pursuit towards clarity is very strong in my spirit, because I understand that people ascribe themselves to these different mindsets, to these different belief systems. And it's a delicate process to separate people from these belief systems and to bring people to truth, true understanding, true purpose, true being. Spiritual beings along this path who are faced with disappointment, examine your understanding of human nature, examine your understanding of yourself, of the beings who share this space with you, and see how it is that your true master, Yeshua, had taught us, not just you, but all of us, if we are willing to listen, how to walk in the unconditional. So judgments will lie bare, and true love will cover a multitude of sin and disappointment. Be steadfast in your understanding of truth. It's not a one-day phenomenon. It is a constant growth, because the enemy is strong and wise and is pulling in the opposite direction, be it in an upward or a downward or a sideways direction. Wherever truth is pulling you, the enemy is pulling you in a counter maneuver. So be very strong in your drives towards your ultimate fulfillment. Spiritual disappointments are always going to come forward, because again, we have been placated with belief systems that we are trying to fulfill patriarchal and matriarchal views that are contained within the allegories and within the genealogies of biblical experience. Do not discount the experience of Joshua. Do not discount the experience of Moses, or any great patriarch, or of Sarah, or of Esther, or of any great matriarch or patriarch of the Bible. In true context, they are ancestral, ascendant descendants of the gene of the living, the progeny of the living spirit. But what I'm saying is, if you are trying to fulfill Esther when Esther is already Esther, If you're trying to be Moses when already Moses is Moses, then I would say, man, come on, people. Come on. If you even go into the clinician's office, they would tell you that that's mental illness. So why would you then try to say you are fulfilling the ideology or the belief system that you are some reincarnate of a previous age, or you're fulfilling the mandates of a patriarch or matriarch of the Bible, when the conditions that they face, though in spirit is similar, but in manifestations are far different from the configurations of our present realities. We have to be very careful. So by all means, learn from our patriarchs, learn from our matriarchs. By all means, come to know of how they have overcome their struggles by faith in Yeshua, and that transformation of their behaviors through their spirits and minds into more spiritually congruent activities with the divine nature. So their activities, their actions harmonize with something that is rooted and based far beyond their feelings and their emotions. It is based in truth, not just in a belief system, but that they recognize that in understanding our traditions, in understanding the ancient guideposts and the ancient marking spots, great distraction in the astral, but I ain't paying attention. Those great markings, those great guideposts, those ancient directional instruments that have presented itself over time and has kept a record is indeed for consideration. It's indeed for deep meditation. But it is to aid us in making qualitative decisions as who we are, and examine the way in which our disappointments truly is showing us how to improve our presentation, our state of mind, our state of being, and then to actualize a more fulfilled sense of well-being. Because it is more than just your consciousness, it is more than just your mentality. But as much as your mentality can aid in the process of fulfilling the divine law, you should align it with truth, because it would then fulfill its mandate. It cannot be more than what it is, but in what it is, it can fulfill its true nature. And we can learn from our rejections to see how it is we are, and whether they be material or whether they be spiritual, they are let's say, a puzzle piece of our life's ideals, of our ways and means, of our destinies, of our journeys, of the processes of our journeys. And they show how it is that we have arranged them previously. And they show how it is now we can currently arrange them in a different manner. They are currently showing us how it is that we have acted and how it is that we can act in the future of now. It starts right now. It starts in the now. It starts by recognizing that divine presence is now. And however you have been seeing reality as presented itself in the experiences you've had up until now. So if one then can truly accept through the disappointment that this is how I have been, this is how my activities have been coming across, then if we want an effectual, efficient end result, examine thought processes, means, attitudes in truth, not just to satisfy this comfort zone, this sense of I feel good about what I'm doing, while the evidence is saying something else. And a lot of people say, well, I know my intentions are right, and I don't want to play no advocate, because that's not my argument. But I know there are lots of people who say the road to destruction is paved with good intention. If there is a fallibility in human beings, it would suggest that we will err. And we know psychologically, we as humans think ourselves correct. That is the only way we could affect life and approach life in a sense of dominion, and having the sense of dominion, that sense of I have the right. But our religious and spiritual systems taught us our right is not based in us, but it is in what we now call ethical and moral, religious and spiritual construct, design, the actual truth, Yahuwah, Yeshua. That is what truth is. And any placation that is not rooted in that, that is not emerging from that, that is not emanated from that, that is not progenited from that, isn't true. So even when we think ourselves correct, based upon, we say we believe in Yah, and our activities must be based upon the belief. But why is it that ethical nature is attached to every activity? If that was the case, our belief systems, the one brush covers all, would satisfy all that falls beneath our belief systems. By saying we believe in Yah, by saying we believe in truth, by saying we believe in equal rights and justice, then all our activities would then be placated with equal rights and justice in our thoughts and actions. Then why is it not so? Why is each activity weighed upon its merit? Because truth is in each activity. The moral tactitude is in each activity, to go yea to what is beneficial or yea to what is unbeneficial. That means that truth is not based in a human construct, not a construct of purview, mentality, emotions, or even spirituality. I'm sorry to say, all my years of study has proven that to me. And I'm not going to play smart. I say there are brilliant intellects out there that play smart. I ain't going to play smart. I'm not calling myself intellect, but I sometimes use the terminology that people say, because I just think myself to be very verbose and chatty. But the Lord seems to use my chattiness and verbose nature to bring across some points of clarity, because I don't hold these points to be my point. My point is I'm a living being and I'm here living. And the truth is, goodness isn't an ideology. Truth isn't an ideology. It's not a human being. It is how we have to live to have peace upon this plane. To live this true and plain. Whether we want to complain about it or not, our disappointments are signs that we are not squarely rooted in the truth. And each disappointment is a guidance system that is directing us ever closer to Yah, to the truth. And to having the truth actualized as whatever it is that you are envisaging, and whatever it is that you are working ceaselessly to manifest. Align it in truth on whatever sphere you find yourself in this external world. Your disappointment, like failure on the road to success, will be your guidance system. Your determination in the spirit of Yahuwah, Yeshua, will keep you on the path of fulfillment, will make you know that you should not cease. That will make you examine, re-examine constantly, quantify each activity, truly examine that is Yah in each activity. How is it I have fallen out of alignment with this contract, with this commitment that I have made, with these considerations I'm making currently? How it is I am getting closer or further away from the truth? How is it that I am fulfilling my initial desire when I conceptualize this product, this service? How is it these investors, these investments that is coming in are going to take me closer to the ambitions or further away from those ambitions, further away from those ideals? These things will give you sleepless nights if they're not aligned properly. Don't take my word for it. The disappointments of our lives collectively show the end results of the processes that we've employed. And it's not about smart mouthing or smart talking, Jerome. It's about the actuality of your life conditions. I'm not talking down or talking up to anyone. Many of us are living in the conditions we are living in because we are not learning from our disappointments. And we unfortunately will continue to do them. Continue in the same cycle, this repetitious cycle of unproductive thoughts, unproductive belief systems, and unproductive ways of being that is stifling our growth, that is stifling the truth in us. And then we cannot then manifest the true divine nature. So we then believe after a while, become depressed, become morbid, and somewhat rejecting of others too. Because we become bitter and selfish too, because a lot of it is based upon the fact that we are failing at fulfilling our ambitions and we don't believe that others can. And when others do fulfill, we are filled with a lot of anger. Not just that based in anguish, but some selfish, bitter anger based upon the fact that you will not learn from your disappointment. And the wise, simple, trained mind of obedient individuals who've been through their crazy stuff, they were willing to listen to the inner voice of truth. They were willing to listen to the Most High. They were willing to listen to the simple word of a child, to the word of a babe who's bringing the truth. They were willing to listen and shift and adjust. I am listening. I am listening to the words of those that I've had conflicts with, those who I'm coming into conflict with, because I understand that it is based upon your ideology. I said this in several videos, but I'm growing, so the understanding is growing even more. Our ideological premise makes us act a certain way, think a certain way. And in all of that, we separate, we splinter, we miss each other. This presentation and this presentation was always based upon bridging that gap. So we could come to that commonality of understanding and see how we can change the activities that we've been doing that's been suffering and hurting us. So if you can recognize that it's hurting you in your personal environment, you can see how it has transferred to my environment and vice versa. I can see how it is hurting me in my environment and I can see how it is transferring through me, from me into your environment. We take our attitudes with us into the astral, into the cosmic, into the far off, geographical, geopolitical, land masses we travel to. We believe in their ideologies even when we are here. We resist against them, watching their informatics and their programming and dissemination networks. As I said, we have all been victims of it. We've grown up under it. So I don't think there's any man, woman, or child here who does not know that, or who has not been caught up in this global mass information, disinformation, propaganda machinery. And as we find ourselves on whatever posting and mechanism machinery that seems to be carrying on or breaking in some of the radical or adding to the radical or bringing radical information or just adding to the same location. I'm just saying, while I present my information and while there's confusion, I'm saying, if you truly get what I'm saying, search yourself, search your heart, because that's the only way you can truly correct any behavior, any attitude. And if each of us will do this, then we can truly add to the argument, to the policies, to the alteration of these negative policies, to create positive policies, because we are humans are the ones that are enacting these policies. Who is controlling the human thought processes? Is it the good or is it the evil thoughts? Are those evil thoughts emanating from you? Are they coming from a source far beyond your consciousness? And that you have ascribed your consciousness to them and ascribed them roles in your consciousness? And likewise, is the truth coming from a source in you, in your morals, in your ethics? Or is your ethics and your morals mechanisms by which you examine, you mark, and you truly associate with the truth in its presence in your life? Isn't those the actual argument? Truth in Yahuwah, truth in divine nature. Truth is that which is the foundation, the creation of our very being. No swift talking, no fast talking, profit for pockets. And I would say, yeah, it is a matter of learning from our mistakes, learning from the misappropriation of our thoughts, learning from the wrong activities that are sprung from those misappropriated thoughts. It's truly beginning to see the power we have through Christ Yeshua to actualize, to sit down and consider how it is that our activities, in all the rejection, in all the disappointments, in all the closed doors, is pointing to a glory far beyond our own. And that in coming to alignment through morals, through ethics, through the true faith, you will truly have deliverance from the mentality, the deep depression and the psychosis that comes and the neurosis that comes with when you fail within these institutional designs, within these institutional constructs. They are made to try your mentality, to make you feel as if you are without worth or value. But the true worth and the true value comes from knowing Yeshua, comes from knowing Yah, comes from knowing actual truth. And how it is that the designs of illusion cannot truly afflict you, but they can cause you to afflict yourself by wrong beliefs and hence wrong actions. So, greater than the feelings of the external manipulation is the feeling of the internal correction. The correction is in Yeshua, is in Yah. Take on the full armor of Yeshua. Take on the full armor of Yahuwah. Cover yourself under the blood and the spirit of righteousness. Because in these times that are upon us, people will question, people will suggest, but with a clear mind and clear spirit, you will see exactly what is happening. And when you depart from love, you cannot minister to no one. You cannot offer anything to anyone to truly bring them to peace, to truly bring the environment to harmony. You have to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. So let us break free from burdening yourself with disappointments onto depression. When these disappointments happen, there are roadblocks along the path of fulfillment. It is a wake-up call to show you how it is your activities have brought you here, and how it is that you should redress some of these activities, so that in going forward, you are squarely firmly rooted in truth, in Christ, Yeshua, in divine creator, in a personal relationship, in a true and fulfilling purpose. Disappointments will only strengthen your drive to continue. It will only push you along the road. It will only add more information to your outlook, more strategies to your game plan, to your life plan, to your soul's destination. It will only add more information, more ways, more dimensions to process all that is happening, and be able to truly understand how it is from all these activities love is born, and how it is that love is translated into products, into services. And when someone opens that package, opens that parcel, there's integrity, there's truth, there's no X's, there's no rituals, there's no spells, but that true law that has made us is fulfilled in that product, in that savory item, in that clothing item, in that product, in that service, that there's truth, that there's Yah. Omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, transient, transcendental, metamorphic friend, source of abundance, obedience fulfilled, divine nature, calmness, calmative behavior, fulfill your true nature. So grow past your disappointment, develop a sense of determination, stick-to-itiveness, and a drive towards true purpose. Add value, source value from the words of inspiration. Read your Bible, learn from your matriarchs, learn from your patriarchs, learn from the present information of the Spirit teaching you in the present now. Learn from your experiences. Go into the experimental center of your mental and emotional faculties and see how it is truly good begets good, bad begets bad. No ideology, factuality, actuality. Power, blessings, mercies, and honor in all to you towards all your endeavors, going past your disappointment. I hope I have added a word of value towards your endeavors in your dealing with disappointments along the path of fulfillment. This has been Jerome Sage Butler, right here, Reasonings at the Tree of Life, on Tree of Life Television Network, right here, YouTube. Like and subscribe, share this information. Continue this endless flow of divine flow and divine energy, divine clarity, divine fluidity, divine spirit. Continue on the path. Remember that you are an awesome, beautiful, divine gift to yourself, to your environment, and to all you come in contact with. No matter how much disappointments you've had, you are still this resplendent, resonant, glorious being, fulfilling the true divine nature. Yahuwah Yeshua, divine Elohim be praised. Honor and majesty. Continue on your path of divine gift and blessing. Enough love.